In times of disruption, businesses must be able to adapt, evolve, and pivot quickly to maintain business continuity and ensure that customer satisfaction is stable. At the heart of this capability is an understanding that digital transformation is not an activity or a technology, but rather a culture that must be nurtured continuously to adapt to customer expectations and market dynamics. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob O'Regan, Global Content Director with IDG. Welcome to today's webcast brought to you by Google Cloud. We're here to discuss how resilient companies leverage digital transformation strategies to reduce effort with an API-centric approach and reduce time by building a culture of digital success. Let's meet our speakers. First is Sean Fitzgerald, Global Research Director for Worldwide Digital Transformation Strategies at IDC. Sean, welcome. Please tell us about your role at IDC.
Sure, Rob. Thank you, and hello, everyone. I run our Worldwide Digital Transformation Strategies practice. My background is that of a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I've run global process excellence and change management programs at a number of companies over my career, including running the change management practice for one of three fully integrated currency banknote manufacturers in the world. I've also led the global order-to-cash Six Sigma program at a $40 billion Dow 30 company. And at IDC, we very much see digital transformation is about technology applied to business outcomes. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sean. Also with us today is Vikas Anand, Head of Product with Apigee for Google Cloud. Vikas, welcome. Tell us about your role.
Thank you, Rob, for the warm welcome. I lead product and strategy for API management and business application platform at Google Cloud. My background is I've been in this space for integration and API management for many years and have built both products as well as been a consumer of these technologies working for large Fortune 500 companies. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the API-centric approach.
Great. Glad you both could join us. So, Sean, I'll turn it over to you to get us started with the latest in the evolution of digital transformation.
Thank you, Rob. And so as my part of the discussion today, I thought it was appropriate that we level set on what do we mean when we talk about digital transformation, how companies are engaging it, and what are some of the key attributes that we see successful companies focusing on to successfully digitally transform. Let's start with how do we define digital transformation? The term's been around for several years. It's very popular. It gets applied to a lot of things. But I think it's important that we level set for purposes of this discussion today, what do we mean when we say digital transformation? And at IDC, we really define it as the application of third platform and related technologies to fundamentally improve all aspects of society. And for business, this really means transform your decision-making with technology. And unpacking that a little bit, when we talk about transformation, we say it's really about new sources of innovation and creativity that enhance experiences and improve financial performance for organizations. And it's not just a simple modernizing of the technology underpinning existing systems. We call that digitization, but that itself is not transformation. And it's really about the decision making. So gathering data across your business and ecosystem, extended ecosystem, including markets and customers, and using that information to create an evidence-based culture and creating those information-enhanced products and services that are highly desirable and sought after. And then doing it with technology, because it's really about using these technologies to create repeatable, scalable capabilities over time. Companies are very good at executing projects, but projects are much more of an event-oriented type of approach to creating value. And the technologies really enable that process capability that I just described. And that's really important because in the world of the digital economy, remaining competitive over time is critical. And you can only do that by leveraging technology at scale. And so in addition to how we define digital transformation here at IDC, I thought it was important to show at the bottom of this particular slide, these are the levels of direct investment in hardware, software, and services that we see being invested in digital transformation over the 5 years presented. And what's interesting from our spending data is that this represents cumulatively about $8.2 trillion of direct DX technology investments that are growing at over 17.5% compound annual growth. versus if we look at other non-digital transformation type technologies, those categories are growing at approximately 1.1%. So as you can see, digital transformation is very much happening. It's more than just updating and upgrading your technology. And it really is about the transformation or creation of new business models, the leveraging of data at scale for decision making, and then using modern technologies to create repeatable, scalable, improving process capabilities. And so why do we see companies making these, trillion-dollar investments in digital transformation technologies to empower and create the future enterprise that can compete as a digital entity at scale? And what we see from our own research is that companies that invest in digital transformation and realize the business value show significantly higher levels of both revenue performance and also profit or operating income performance. And as you can see on the graphs here, on the left, there's almost a doubling of those that are successfully achieving digital transformation in their business versus those that aren't focused on digital transformation. And that same profile also holds true for the operating profits of these publicly traded companies that we analyze. Digital transformation is happening. Companies are engaging in it, but the levels of maturity are by no means very advanced overall. And from some research that we published last year of about 2,300 companies worldwide at the enterprise level, we see actually only less than 4% are what we'd call optimized at digital transformation or are true digitally transformed types of organizations. But what we do know from our research, having studied this extensively, probably surveyed over 15,000 enterprises over the last 3-4 years, was that the most successful digitally transformed enterprises have 3 major tenets in common. And across the top, they have a single business strategy that's built around their transformation. They have an implementation plan or a roadmap for realizing themselves as a digitally capable organization. And most importantly, to be able to compete over time, they're investing in an enterprise-wide technology architecture. And collectively, those leading organizations are about 19% of all successfully digitally transforming organizations themselves. And so I want to talk about the 2 groups that are really emerging from digital transformation efforts that we see companies undertaking. And so they really fall into 2 groups. The ones that are trying digital transformation, that are struggling with it, are what we would call digitally distraught. They tend to not have an enterprise strategy. They tend to do tactical experimentation with digital transformation or more appropriately digitization efforts. Or if they have a strategy, they're not thinking about the long game that is digital transformation. So while they may have the elements of success in place, they're not leveraging or behaving or executing in a manner that will improve their long-term success likelihood or outcomes. In contrast, we have another group, about 37% of companies, that are what we describe as the digitally determined. These are ones that have an integrated digital strategy that either mirrors the business strategy, or the digital strategy and the business strategy are in fact one and the same. I think it's very important that you understand that digital transformation is not just this aspirational thing, but it's also how do you go and put the pieces in place and execute on the pillars of strategy, planning, and technology to improve your likelihood of being a successfully digitally transformed enterprise. And to that end, we also looked at how are companies looking or evaluating their digital transformation roadmap to go from what is their strategic intent to realizing digital capabilities. And what's interesting here is that only 13.6% of organizations have a fully integrated technology roadmap that maps directly and fully to the business transformation roadmap. And the contrast is even more significant when you look over on the right side and you talk about the digitally determined versus the digitally distraught. And what's interesting is that 55% of the digitally determined say their roadmap integrates technology with the business fully, or they've got 2 roadmaps, one for their digital transformation technology investment and one for the business, but they're fully aligned, similar to the strategic approach to how they're thinking about digital overall. In contrast, the digitally distraught, 31.2% say we have plans for a roadmap in the next 12 to 24 months, or over 40% are saying we want to establish that plan in the next 12 months, but currently no plans exist. So collectively, the digitally distraught, 80.6% of those types of organizations either are planning to devise their implementation roadmap or don't have one and are not planning to have one today. And that's really quite remarkable given the fact that digital transformation has been going on for the last several years and is such a major focus in the current economy. So in addition to looking at strategy and implementation planning, also we need to evaluate how companies are approaching their investments and their approach to what we describe as a digital platform. And we see that only 15.2% of organizations overall have a fully integrated digital platform that integrates enterprise-wide technology architectures, that enables full digital products, services, and experiences. All at the same time, they've modernized and integrated all of this to their internal IT environment fully. And when we look at the digitally determined, we see that about 65.6% of the digitally determined either have this fully integrated enterprise platform, or their integrated IT and digital platform allows for them to have a very comprehensive digital business and digital product and experience set for customers. In contrast, the digitally distraught are much more likely to employ islands of innovation, or their digital technologies sit on the side of their core IT infrastructure and capabilities. And so collectively, 69% of the digitally distraught aren't thinking about their digital platform in a holistic and integrated manner. And so when we talk about the digital platform, this current picture is how IDC envisions the digital platform and the elements that comprise it. It's all built around an intelligent core that extends into external processes, markets, and customers on the right-hand side. And then it flows backwards into internal processes where data drives process and provides insight, not only to improve the business, the products, and the services that are provided to that external ecosystem, but also goes further and creates value through the extended supply chain because it enables the ability to provide an informed collaboration with your partners and suppliers that help enable your business capabilities. And I think the four important or key tenets of the digital platform, as IDC describes it, is that it's cloud-based API strategies that orchestrate these exchanges of data across your ecosystem. So very important in today's conversation about, the role of APIs for creating digital at scale with speed and agility. It's about that agile application architecture using platform as a service in addition to microservices and containerized code. And it's really about that new customer experience and those technologies that fully support your customer and ecosystem-facing business models that you're developing and deploying as you become a digital enterprise. And as I said earlier, it's really all built around the intelligent core. So leveraging data at scale and bringing that data into your digital platform regardless of where it resides natively to better understand product performance, operational capabilities and capacities and quality, as well as understanding customer and market preferences so you can respond in time with superior products, services, and capabilities. So that's my part of the discussion, really teeing up how we see digital transformation, how large the investments that are being made, the $8.2 trillion over 5 years that companies are investing to become digital enterprises and compete successfully in the digital economy, and the things that they need to focus on at a high level, including their approaches to strategy, how they think about developing the plans to realize those digital competencies, and the role of the digital platform and why it's so crucial to becoming a digital enterprise. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to my colleague, Vikas, to take us through the next part of the discussion.
Thanks, Sean. I think this is a perfect segue to double-click on the API-centric approach. I think the stats that you described with 37% of the digitally determined organizations, they have actually created a very pervasive API ecosystem and an API-centric approach already. And this is quite visible in our daily lives today. APIs are powering innovation, and people may not be aware that when they're using their mobile phones for checking emails or looking at an application that uses restaurants and menu APIs for driver and delivery to get their food, they're actually using APIs behind the scenes, which is powering their experience. And this is really commendable because APIs are powering the innovation which is touching everyone, whether it is getting money from the bank through multi-channel open banking applications, whether it's doing the sundry tasks of ordering goods for retail, groceries, as well as just looking at the weather to find what's the weather like today. So APIs are pervasive. However, there's still an opportunity for APIs to innovate. The rest of the 63%, Sean, that you described, which are digitally distraught at the moment. And I think it's very important for an API-centric approach to be taken with a method which can help them scale for the needs of their customers. So APIs have evolved, and they didn't start where they are today. So if you look at the journey, the evolution of APIs, in the early stage, basically started as a way to deliver access. So it was a REST-based architecture, which was very simple. And the whole point was to improve the accessibility to applications. And this is where it was basically the agent of access for those applications. Then, as things evolved, there came an integration with the hybrid cloud-based adoption for helping business. There was an emergence of cloud-based integration. As the maturity improved within the enterprise, there was a need for really looking at APIs from an experience perspective. So delivering the connected experiences became a priority. And what's really interesting is the pivot from the experiences where they were the delivery of the connecting experiences to APIs becoming the agent of digital transformation. And this is, I think, the big change, if you will, where transformation that enterprises are now challenged with and have to solve for new business models, creating ecosystems. APIs are at the center for helping with those changes. In fact, there is a technology and a culture change which has come into play with the evolution of APIs as agents of digital transformation. As we look at the transformation itself, there are three dimensions that traditionally we focus on. APIs are helping customers and companies in different ways. So companies are now able to create new business models. They're able to collaborate with partners to combine offerings as well as create new revenue opportunities. APIs, tying back to what Sean was talking about from an agility perspective, are helping with agile delivery and speed to market. And of course, it's all about the experience to meet the consumers where they are. And that's where the connected experiences are helping people find the information through the various channels they might be using. For example, online, mobile, wearables, or IoT devices. And these channels, especially the emergence of new channels such as assistance and chat, are changing the experience. So if you look at APIs, they're truly helping the business forward while also innovating across products, people, and processes. I think that's great. But now we should start looking at APIs in a different way. We should be looking at it from a customer's point of view. And this is very important. Customers have expectations. With the digital trends and the adoption of digital technology, we have now digital consumers. And these digital consumers are now looking to actively buy from the most innovative companies. Just to qualify this for you, 56% of digital consumers will actively seek to buy from the most innovative companies. 71% of digital consumers desire a consistent experience across any channel when they're buying or consuming services. 65% of digital consumers expect personalized experiences based on previous visits. So the customer and experience or the consumer experience with product, services is now, the expectations are very high. And this is where companies which can offer these experiences will thrive because customers' expectations will require them to innovate much faster. Another key stat I think to keep in mind is when we start looking at the customer expectation, what surveys have shown is that customers are willing to pay more for the experience. So the experience, the connected experience will overtake the product, the price as the key brand differentiator, and 86% of buyers will pay more for that experience. So APIs can no longer be just a technology play. APIs become a way to connect with people and to navigate dynamic markets and really create a differentiator when offering these services to customers. So this is a very interesting challenge for enterprises. Let's talk about the 63% which Sean was talking about in his presentation section earlier. Most of the companies are facing this challenge where they have to evolve to offer the connected digital experiences for customers, employees, and partners. In a traditional company, there's a system of record, there's the integration portfolio, which is connecting all these applications together, including customer relationship management products, databases, warehouses, and data lakes. Typically, the pace of change here takes months to meet the business requirements. But if you look at the experiences and the innovation that customers are talking about in the previous slides that I covered, the expectations are very high, and the need is to really deliver on those experiences in even less than days, in hours. You want to run a promotion, it should be out there immediately for customers to look at, and if the promotion is not working successfully, the business needs to react to it and make a quick change to that promotion. So APIs can play a very important role for that. In fact, when we talk about API management at Google, Apigee can help balance the pace of change between the back-end systems and the front-end digital experiences. Now, with one platform, there's an opportunity for business to quickly scale, manage, analyze, and secure APIs as a part of the experience that they want to offer to customers. And from an IT perspective, the very significant change is that APIs can help reduce development cycles, supporting a two-speed IT process that allows external applications and connected experiences to be developed in days and hours, while the backend systems can continue enhancement at whatever speed they need to. And this actually brings the scale which the business requires, especially during the moments of disruption. What's also interesting is when we talk about modern technologies like microservices, microservices are delivering experiences, they are delivering business logic, but they can also be maximized through APIs. And bringing API management to microservices, which may be running in a service mesh, actually delivers a lot of benefit because there is discovery, there's documentation, there's self-service, adoption, security, and analytics around the users, which is available on the tip of the fingertips. So we talked about a few things before this. We talked about the pervasive nature of APIs. We talked about how the customer expectations have changed and how API management actually helps to accelerate, deliver those in a two-pace environment, a two-speed environment of the systems of record as well as the digital experience that you want to offer. Let's now focus for a few minutes on the digital value chain. So this diagram that you see represents a view of what we call as the digital value chain, where if you look at it from left to right, the right side is really the applications which a company has as a part of the business processes that they're running. These could be ERP systems, CRM systems, etc. These are the slow-moving applications. On the left-hand side, we're talking about the consumption. So the consumption is really done by the customer. They could be representing internal, external, or partner applications and services. And at each point, there is an activity that needs to occur in an efficient and scalable manner to meet the expectations and the need for digital economy. So we deliver this through really building an app and digital experience for customers. And the actual apps and digital experiences are delivered by developers who consume APIs that are produced by API teams who are connecting to the backend systems and then they flow back this information to the consumers. So as a part of the digital value chain, the customer is getting the best of the experience, both in terms of information, in terms of services and products they're looking for. All of this is produced through a very rich set of APIs delivered by the API developers who are now connecting the backend and exposing it to the app developer community. One important aspect around this, which we believe is really important to solve for the need for the customer experience, is really the outside-in perspective. It's the perspective of focusing on the business outcome. So the flow, if you look at this flow is the foundation for really delivering on the outcome which your customers are looking for to demonstrate the value of your digital product and experiences to your customers. So if you understand the outside-in perspective, if you know the outcome that you want to deliver for your consumer, whether it's an internal customer, external customer, or partner, you can shape your APIs to offer that experience. And these APIs can be abstracting the actual functionality and the details which are exposed in the backend system, whether it's data, applications, and functions. And by shaping the data, the APIs of the business outcome, it becomes much more easier for the API developers to deliver the apps that the customer experience is expected to deliver. And that's very important as a part of the digital value chain for an API program to be resilient as well as to be successful to meet the needs of the business in terms of monetization, scale, and adoption. And the most important thing which we kind of summarize with as a part of the digital value chain is really the value is, with this mindset, is really around two things. One is the value that you offer to the customer in terms of the adoption, the service that you're offering there, the product that you're offering. And the second is the speed and agility through which you can change in an agile way and deliver the benefit to your user of your APIs. But to get this right, of course, you need to really have a real API management and API modernization program, which is backed up by an API management solution to get the acceleration time to market from a benefits perspective, to avoid business disruption, to have increase of consumption of apps in a secure way, as well as get real adoption in terms of your natural revenue making applications that you're building out. So most enterprises have the right vision, but the challenge is there's a lack of strategic execution. So while they might have a vision for delivering on building an ecosystem for strategic advantage or to enter new markets, the execution becomes a challenge where they've used APIs as more of a system integration technology rather than a strategic asset of products for developers. In terms of execution, to enable business to be able to deliver these services and capabilities quickly, self-service is very important. If you look at stats, 36% are more than likely to have limited or no self-service resources than to have basic or full-fledged self-service to enable these things to happen quickly. And I think an interesting fact over here is that 27% will have little or no executive support for the platform. So having the right vision is great, but if there is a lack of strategic execution, then the program will obviously have bottlenecks in terms of achieving success. But if this is done right, if you match the right vision with the right strategic execution plan, then the results can be great. And these results can really apply to the top priorities which CEOs have today, which is in the context of revenue acceleration, faster time to market, and cost reduction. In fact, if an API program is successfully executed by technology and business partnering together, APIs actually increase from value. If you look at this from a perspective of the outcome, the impact of APIs are really on the performance of the firm in terms of increase in sales, decrease in cost, and increasing market capitalization as the outcome, which is a significant outcome from a successful program. So we're looking at 12.7% as an example over here for the outcome of a successful API program delivering value for an enterprise. So the net of this is that cloud services actually speed up API development, but they have to be managed with a thought, with a methodology. The focus obviously continues to be to transforming the customer experience, the processes, and the way people work together with systems. APIs offer that opportunity to help drive an accelerated transformation fundamentally in each of these areas. But it's really important to have and continue to have a focus on what the customer expectations are. And API programs in general have to look at that in a methodological way to deliver a successful outcome for the business. With that said, let me bring in Sean to talk more about combining the methodology and an API-centric approach. What sort of velocities can we expect if the companies have a right culture in place?
Thank you, Vikas. And as you can see here, we really tried to, present this as not only is digital transformation happening, and it's critical that you participate and your organization becomes a digital enterprise. The effort involved and the speed at which you can realize that digital transformation is absolutely positively benefited by the use of an API-centric approach, which reduces your work effort. In the context of developing a digital culture that very much reduces your time to realizing that transformation benefit. And hopefully through the discussion today, you've seen the importance of both digital transformation and why APIs are so important to enabling that. Because in an API-centric approach, what you build today is reused tomorrow and are thus a digital transformation force multiplier over time, which only improves when you've already got or you're in the process of creating a digital culture. So thank you, Vikas, for allowing me to comment on that. And then in closing, we wanted to just talk a little bit about the fact that, change management historically involved people, process, and technology. And in my corporate days, we used to say that implementing technology without processes that are aligned to the right strategy is effectively going from zero to chaos at the speed of light. And because digital is moving so fast, that beyond just people, process, and technology, which you used to have to address historically in traditional business models and management methodologies, you really need to recraft how you look at creating digital. And that includes empowering your people, engaging in agile processes, focusing and developing and leveraging these modern technologies, especially an API-centric approach to deploying, looking and leveraging data at scale to improve your organizational capabilities, your understanding and insight about your own processes, as well as what's desirable for customers and markets from information, and then being able to manage all of that complexity in real time with effective governance. So Vikas, any other thoughts or comments from your point of view on?
No, I think you brought it together very well, Sean. I think the customer perspective and obviously, to get to that customer's expectation to be digital at scale, I think the dimension of data at scale and governance for complexity are key beyond the topics that we already talked about. So people, process, technology, of course, empowering people, bringing in agility and change management to processes. And when we talk about APIs, it's about modern technology and digital disruption by default. But I think the two important aspects to consider going forward as a part of the resilient strategy really are data at scale and governance. Governance, in a good way, will actually help. We have seen from our experience working with our customers that the pace of change, the pace of delivery, the success in terms of business outcomes is significantly higher when they have a good governance and change management in place for complexity.
I couldn't agree more. And just, in closing, I would say the best digital transformations are ones that extend from a strategy, that have that implementation plan, that leverage technology in the form of platforms, and very much are organizations that understand the power of APIs and make that a core part of their digital capability and how they develop their process capabilities, both internally and extending them out into the ecosystems, as you so eloquently articulated today. And I think the big takeaway for not just the role of APIs, but your statistic on the fact that market value of a company can increase over 12% that's a multiple of revenue, and that's an even greater multiple of earnings. So the business case for leveraging APIs in your digital transformation is just so compelling.
Great, guys. Thanks very much. So a couple of quick follow-up questions on the information that you provided today. So, Sean, stepping back a bit, who in the organization should lead these types of cultural transformation initiatives? And also importantly, what other key stakeholders need to be involved?
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Great question, because, it really is about bringing all those elements that we described together. And, as I often, advise executive teams, that digital transformation is both a long game and a team sport. You're not going to get there by yourself. So certainly you need to partner and leverage both across your vendor network. But when it comes to actually creating a digital culture for your own enterprise, it really involves all of the leadership, all of your managers, and obviously even your individual contributors at the employee individual level. And everybody plays a bit of a different role. And certainly you need to have points of accountability for elements of transformation. I would say from our research, we see clearly that CIOs, CTOs are very much leading the technology selection aspects of transformation. But unlike, prior change management efforts where they were very functionally oriented, great transformation around digital are very much process-centric and much more functionally agnostic, meaning that you focus on the process, but you understand that these different functional areas play and have their field position in transformation. So, what that looks like might be different for the CFO, the finance, and the controllership team versus if you have manufacturing or other functional parts of the business involved. They all need to play a role in driving the right behaviors, incenting the right types of activities, and focusing on not only the right objective outcomes of the transformation, but also the work that's done and how it's measured and monitored to achieve on those digital process capabilities, which need to be in place for you to really compete successfully as a digital enterprise over time. So thank you, Rob.
Great. Thanks, Sean. And Vikas, could you talk a little bit more about how an API-centric approach can help organizations adapt in times of disruption like we find ourselves in now?
Sure, Rob, and I think that's a great question. Given the circumstances that we are in, this is an example of special times where an API-centric approach can actually help. Let's take a couple of examples. If you look at the supply chain ecosystem today, obviously disruptions like these have an impact when suppliers are not available or they are out of stock, and companies really are looking to service the needs of customers through a self-service solution based on an API management platform. Companies can have the opportunity to really quickly onboard partners from other locations which may not be impacted or will have stock to really bring together their supply chain systems back online. And, this can really help react to the needs of the customers very quickly, as one example. Second is, when there is a need to scale up for the needs to service customers when they are switching from, buying through the brick and mortar stores to digital online platforms, APIs can help quickly deliver a mobile, a digital experience where the product, the services, prices can be listed through these APIs, and the transition between a mortar-based business to a brick and mortar-based business to a digital business can be seamlessly transitioned to using these APIs. And if you're already a digital business like retail, then scaling from hundreds of thousands of users to hundreds of millions of users becomes far more easier with an API management platform which can scale for those needs, supporting the requirements for such a big, jump in terms of the numbers of customers who are coming on board in terms of the platform. So these are just a couple of examples where having an API-centric approach really helps you design a platform which can be available to service the needs of your business, especially in times like these.
That seems like a good thought to close on. So with that, we've reached the end of our webcast. I'd like to thank our experts, Sean Fitzgerald with IDC and Vikas Anand with Google Cloud. Great information and insights from both of you gentlemen. Most of all, I'd like to thank our audience for tuning in. For more information on this topic, please check out the resources section of your player to download additional assets. For Google Cloud, IDC, and IDG, this is Rob O'Regan. Thanks for watching.